I'm slow, right?
Mentally.
Oh my God, mentally, okay. I'm talking about I'm slow in the boxing ring, right?
Mentally.
I'm talking about the boxing ring, what you was talking about. I'm slow, right?
Mentally.
Okay, you're gonna see. I promise you're gonna see.
Teo, to Shakur's point, you seem to be the guy that rises to the level of your competition. When you were going against Loma, people felt you were the underdog. Josh Taylor, the same thing. And those are the fights where you really showcased your skills and abilities and upset the odds. Is this another fight where you're coming in there with that mentality to upset the odds?
Just put him in front of me and I'll beat him. Not about the odds. It's about, I guess defining them. You define the odds. Everybody's against you, great. That's when you know you're doing great. I put a thing out there. It's like, if you want to be liked in this sport, be a good boxer. You want to be loved in the sport, be the best boxer. But if you want to be hated in this sport, including the odds, be the greatest boxer.
So this interview looked peaceful enough from the outside, but that's not the real story. The real story was the electricity crackling underneath everything they said. The second they started digging into their history together, you could feel it shift. All those amateur years, the way promotions played out, who got the spotlight first, who felt left behind, that's when things got interesting.
No, yeah, I'm thinking, I don't know if it's 2011 or 2012 National Junior Olympics, or Junior National Golden Gloves. And I remember seeing him. He was wearing a white tank top. I think it was red and white trunks. And he was just whooping on dude bad. And that's when I noticed we were both cleaning up our divisions leading up to the finals. He ended up winning. I ended up, coming in second.
Did you first become aware of Teo?
It's so crazy. So like when I first kind of got aware of Teo, it was probably before he even knew me. But I used to get on YouTube, and I used to watch like the DMV fight, and I seen one of his fights up there, and I kind of watched them. I thought he was a good fighter, and that's when I kind of got a first whiff of Teo. But when I finally first met him, probably was the same time he talking about.
Shakur admits he felt some jealousy back then, and Teo fires back saying he just didn't give a damn. Right there, we're not discussing boxing careers anymore. We're talking about wounds that never closed, pride that got stepped on years ago.
I was good with Teo. I thought Teo was a little jealous of me. That's what I thought.
Yeah, he was getting the fights that you were calling for Loma. He got Loma.
Yeah.
Did you see him as a future foe?
I think that everything just plays out the way it does, and eventually we was gonna end up meeting up with each other eventually. I had never seen any jealousy in my part with him. I mean, for crying out loud, he fought for Team USA, got a silver medal. And,
not during them times though,
and
bro.
The whole thing
not
was
during them times.
pushed.
I'm speaking on the times where I felt like you had a push start. You got the you used to be ahead of me far as like ESPN only like black fighters and all that kind of stuff. And when you said that, I kind of felt like it was a shot at me. So I felt like it was a little bit of jealousy.
No, I just didn't give an F. That's all.
Cool.
Just didn't give an F about it all.
Then Teo starts running his mouth about making Shakur quit, maybe even putting him down for the count, and you can feel everyone in the room hold their breath. But Shakur's comeback was ice cold, not screaming, just razor sharp, basically asking if Teo really thinks he's that easy to figure out. Those are the kind of words that come back to haunt somebody when the bell rings.
How do you feel when you hear a guy say he might not just stop you, but he might make you quit in the fight?
Make me quit is crazy. Like, I don't got no quit in me, but it's cool. He's supposed to feel that way. Like, he's supposed to say the things that he's saying. He's not saying nothing out of the ordinary or something that I didn't expect. Only thing that I kind of took away, he got on a podcast, I want to say, he said that I was slow. And that's the part where I'm like, okay, he's going to be very surprised come fight night, to where it's like, you really thought I was slow? Like, is that something like you put in your brain and thought it was about to come out there and work?
Teofimo's talking like he owns the place, like someone just walked into his living room without permission. Shakur's talking like he's been waiting for this conversation his whole life and couldn't care less whose territory this is. If they're cutting each other this deep just sitting at a table talking, think about what 12 rounds of actual violence is going to look like when words don't matter anymore. When it comes down to it, if you think you can beat me, I already know my next move.
So you gonna erase my name?
I know what I'm going to do.
This one.
Basically, what I'm trying to let you know, right, is that boxing ain't going to allow it.
But how boxing not gonna allow it?
It won't.
How?
Cause now you facing me.
Oh shit! I'm so scared. Tio, I'm frightened. I'm scared for my life. I'm facing you. Ooh. That shit don't move me, bro. I can't wait to see you. I've been waiting on this. Yo, I don't know how you don't understand. I've been waiting on this moment forever. Like, it's been years and years for this moment right here. You gave me the opportunity. I appreciate you for that. But come with it. Facts.
But while all that heat is building up on camera, here's what should really have Teofimo's attention. Shakur isn't just running his mouth, he's making moves. He's posted up in Colorado Springs at D1 training, sucking in that oxygen-starved air, grinding through rounds where your body can't lie and your weaknesses get dragged into the light. That's Crawford's backyard, and you don't train there for Instagram posts. You train there to get deadly.
How many you got?
It's all fun and games, man. We just in here having fun, joking around and letting them get some experience. You know, when you boxing, you gotta box in front of a lot of different people. So being that they in front of a lot of people right now, we kind of gassing it up, making it feel like it's an atmosphere of a fight. So I enjoy it.
This isn't about flashy social media content or generating buzz. This is silent, methodical, high-altitude suffering where reflexes get sharper and your cardiovascular system learns to be stubborn. When someone like Shakur moves his whole operation up there, it screams volumes about what kind of war he's getting ready for. Not wild swinging, not emotional outbursts, not feeding off crowd noise, pure technique, stamina, and owning the championship rounds.
Yeah.
They got it.
Listen to that.
That's good.
I feel great. You know, sprints kind of be getting me right, you know, get my conditioning right. You know, sometimes in a fight could turn into a sprint. Cause it's like, start the pace fast as hell and then they can't keep up the pace. But the sprints will kind of get you in shape to where once you break down, sometimes you get a second win. Then you get another win. Then you get another win after that. So I did the sprints a lot in a Jamel Herring fight. That's why you seen me fight at a fast pace. And then once I slowed down, I picked it back up and I had all the energy in the world to do it. So we locked in. Let's get it.
That mountain air work is all about making sure that when Teo is still throwing bombs, Shakur is still thinking 3 moves ahead, and it's about weaponizing patience while turning conditioning into unshakable confidence. So while Teofimo is running his mouth about dominance and claiming his turf, Shakur is up there collecting invisible edges, building the type of motor that doesn't show up in press conferences but absolutely shows up when rounds start feeling like hours. And that's the terrifying part, because when all the talking ends, altitude training doesn't care about your reputation.
So far, it came going great. We about a month away from fight day. Everything going according to plan. Court look great, man, great. He getting the rounds in. Everything going according to schedule. We coming for the victory. You know, me as a trainer, I don't train to go the distance. I think that's wear and tear on the body. You put all the work in camp to make the fight night as easy as possible, and that's what he gonna do.
Right after breaking down how Shakur disappeared into Colorado Springs, breathing that thin mountain air and fine-tuning everything at D1 like he's preparing for a 12-round mental warfare session, the whole discussion pivots back to New York because that's where this tension finally explodes. I'm hearing Paulie and Chris breaking it down on Boxing Scene and thinking, yeah, now we're at the real analyst table. No promotional puppets, no yes men, just fighters who actually know what Madison Square Garden does to your heartbeat and your your confidence. And they nailed it. The Garden isn't just a building, it's an examination. For Shakur, it's proving ground. For Teofimo, it's redemption.
Because Teofimo is at his most dangerous when he's counted out. And this is going to be one of those fights where he's going to be counted out. Because Shakur is looked at by and large as the guy who can dominate boxing in this generation, right? It's just a matter of him getting the opportunity. I myself have felt that he's the guy who could and should be dominating boxing if he gets the right matchups. But bro, this is one of the rare matchups, if not maybe the only matchup, where I feel like it's a big threat here to Shakur.
You can hear it in how they discuss him. The more people write off Teo, the more lethal he gets. Like his whole engine runs on being underestimated. This pattern repeats itself. When Teofimo is comfortable and everyone assumes he'll cruise, he can get lazy. When he's backed into a corner and half the crowd is against him, that's when he locks into another dimension and starts defying the laws of physics. Shakur operates completely differently. He doesn't feed off chaos to excel. He needs mental clarity. He's the type who arrives early, sits in silence, and still destroys the test while everyone else is panicking. And this fundamental difference is exactly why this matchup feels special. When Paulie calls this potentially the only genuine threat to Shakur, he's not throwing shade, he's being real.
And then they would all come undone only because of this reason. Teofimo Lopez, we've seen him at his best, but he typically brings out his best characteristics when he's back against the wall and he's counted out. And he's going to be counted out in this fight. By and large, people are going to side with Shakur in this fight to win the fight because he's the more consistent fighter, he's the more class fighter overall, and he's just so good. But Teofimo has a way, when you're so good and he knows you're so good and everybody feels like you're gonna beat him.
Shakur might be the more technically sound, more reliable fighter, but Teofimo represents that rare wild card that refuses to follow the script. He can elevate his game in ways that break conventional wisdom, mess with timing, and make betting favorites sweat, and I appreciate how they position New York itself as a fighter in this bout, because that's exactly what it is. This isn't Vegas with its manufactured atmosphere and corporate polish. This is MSG, where the booze cut deep and the cheers feel like added weight. Teofimo absorbs that energy and sometimes transforms it into rocket fuel. Shakur processes that same energy and filters it out like white noise. Two completely different processors, same battlefield, and the odds discussion just adds more layers.
But in Camp Bosis, he was not good. He did not. It was not a good night.
Oh, like a street fight.
Yeah, it was
shots.
And I think I was a guest on that on the call for that show, and I said I got one guy fighting with ego and I got one guy fighting with discipline, and that's what it was, because he just went out there and was just trying to knock him out from round one, and it was not working out well. Now, is he going to do that against Shakur? Absolutely not. But also, we've seen him struggle with guys like Jermaine Ortiz. We've seen him struggle with who was the Canadian guy who I mean, not that he struggled, but he failed.
Here's what I keep telling Martin, and Martin, save this part for the edit. On paper, logic says Shakur takes this: cleaner technique, better decision making, less emotional swings. But boxing doesn't unfold on paper, it happens in split seconds, and Teofimo lives for those moments. That's his superpower. That's why this fight feels essential, and it's not about championship belts or pound-for-pound rankings. It's about finding out if systematic discipline defeats explosive unpredictability, or if that unpredictability shatters the system. And when veteran fighters who've been in those trenches tell you they wouldn't put money on this outcome, that's not sitting on the fence. That's acknowledging how unpredictable excellence can be. This isn't a safe pick, it's a genuine war, and that's precisely why we're all glued to this. He went after Josh Taylor next.
A weight class below and years out, said I could beat that guy. He called out Jaron Ennis. Obviously, he didn't fight Jaron, but when him and his father put their heads together and they see something in a guy and they end up taking a fight like this that's dangerous where he's the underdog.
Look out! Right after Paulie and Chris dissected that whole chaos versus control dynamic like two guys who actually know what those lights feel like, the energy shifts when Buddy McGirt enters the conversation and you can sense the room settling into serious mode. I'm listening to his breakdown and thinking, yeah, this isn't hype building, this is pure belief. No dramatic flair, no clickbait opinions, just someone who's guided multiple generations of killers saying, nah, Shakur operates on a different level, and what strikes me is his simplicity, not athletic comparisons, not volume measurements, not ticket sales debates, just control. That's his focus. Buddy's essentially saying you can't pressure Shakur into mistakes, you can't intimidate him, and you absolutely can't just swing wildly hoping for lightning. If you're Teofimo, you don't get to depend on bravado or explosive moments, you have to outsmart the guy who lives in strategic mode, and that's an impossible task. The way Buddy describes Shakur's approach, it's like explaining someone who's already seen the ending while everyone else is still reading chapter 1. And from my perspective, there are 2 key points.
2 different styles, you know what I mean? And, you know, Shakur just has a style that, you know, to appreciate it, you got to be a real boxing person.
Yeah, because, you know, when I say athleticism, it's like explosiveness and twitch, but isn't Shakur with the timing and the distance, it's more subtle.
Relax, you know what I mean? He can do whatever, he can take control at any time when he wants to.
Is it like more efficient? Like Teo will cross arm and use all these reflexes, then Shakur will just take a little half step back.
That's it.
Is that more
efficient?
It's
all about control. It's all about control.
How competitive a fight do you think it's going to be?
It's going to be a very good fight. I mean, it's a fight, and it's in the right place, New York. I've always said, I said years ago in an interview, if that fight happens, it's got to be in New York.
He flows, but not in some spectacular way. Flows like everything you attempt just stops working and you can't figure out why. That's what's frightening. And when a trainer who's witnessed legends rise and fall says he's the most impressive of this entire generation, that's not hometown loyalty or a soundbite. That's someone quietly explaining that skill levels exist. And the other thing that really resonates is how Buddy maps out the path to an upset because he doesn't sugarcoat anything. He's basically warning that if you think Teofimo can just charge in there and turn this into a street fight, you've already lost. I'm sitting here agreeing because that's the reality casual fans don't want to accept. This isn't about who's more heart or who has better highlight reels. This is about focus, patience, and matching Shakur's mental sharpness for 36 straight minutes. That's draining, and Buddy's not disrespecting Teo whatsoever. He actually respects him enough to speak the uncomfortable truth. To defeat Shakur, you need to be more intelligent than you've ever been, not more reckless.
Shakur, definitely.
Why is that?
He's the best at that weight. No one's going to beat him at that weight. You know, he can go up to 47 and win a title. That's how good he is.
I mean,
it's going to be a good fight. I'm glad it's finally happening, you know, a good fight in boxing where you got 2 very skilled fighters. And look, I love Teofimo. You know, I picked him to beat Lomachenko. You know what I mean? But I just think that Shakur's on another level.
And how many fighters actually achieve that when everything's on the line? That's why his prediction carries so much weight. He's not promising a one-sided beatdown. He's explaining that Shakur wins because he dictates when the action starts and stops. Small step back, recalibrate, steal your momentum, steal your timing, steal the round repeatedly. And when Buddy casually mentions that Shakur impresses him more than anyone else, including the superstars, that's not a slight to others, that's experience talking. This isn't a passionate prediction, it's a measured warning. If you're stepping in there with Shakur Stevenson, you're not just fighting another boxer, you're fighting someone who's already calculated your next 3 moves before you've thought of your first one.
Kid, I remember Shakur as a kid when he was an amateur. And I always tell him, kid, he's just special, man. He's special.
What's Teo, if he can pull it, like if you were his trainer, what would be the game plan you think to try to pull off what would be an upset?
You gotta be double smart. You can't go in there and think you're going to bully him. You can't think you're going to go in there and bomb him out. You got to be extra smart.
When you piece all this together, the picture becomes crystal clear. This battle isn't about who talked tougher across a table or who looked more intimidating on camera. It's about systematic preparation versus explosive uncertainty. Methodical discipline versus emotional rocket fuel. Mountain training versus feeding off doubt. You've got Shakur Stevenson operating in stealth mode, perfecting timing, endurance, and tactical thinking like every exchange is already programmed. And on the flip side, you've got Teofimo Lopez thriving on skepticism, converting pressure into power, capable of game-changing moments that destroy predictions when nobody sees them coming. Every expert we've heard from, active fighters, veteran trainers, seasoned analysts, they all orbit the same reality from different perspectives. This isn't manufactured drama, this represents genuine danger for both competitors. One mental lapse, one emotional mistake, one wrong calculation, and the entire story flips. That's what makes this pairing feel special. There's no backup plan, no simple narrative, just 2 elite talents trying to prove whose philosophy actually survives when the ring shrinks and the rounds drag on.
But Shakur's on point, man. You got to be just as on point as he is. And that takes a different level of concentration.
Unanimous decision then for Shakur?
I don't know, man. I don't know, but I see him winning. I see Shakur winning, definitely.
Who do you see impresses you just a little bit more? I know they're both excellent. Haney
Shakur.
or Shakur? I mean.
Shakur.
But
Now I need to know from you, who do you believe in more when everything's falling apart? Shakur's calculated control or Teofimo's gift for exploding when everyone's counting him out? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Let's really break this down, and listen, never forget to like, share, and subscribe to Boxing Headquarters. Catch you in the next one.